Welcome to this presentation titled Got2b Glued, but not Gorilla Glued. It is based on this TikTok that went viral from Miss Tessica Brown in February of 2021.
Hey y'all, for those of y'all that know me know my hair has been like this for about a month now. It's not by choice. No, it's not by choice. When I do my hair, I like to, finish it off with the little Got2b Glue spray. Just to keep it in place. Well, I didn't have any more Got2b Glue spray, so I used this. Gorilla Glue spray. Bad, bad, bad idea. Y'all, look. My hair, it don't move. You hear what I'm telling you? It don't move. I've washed my hair 15 times and it don't move.
So this is the difficulty of using Gorilla Glue instead of the Got2b that she ran out of. So here's the Got2b Glued Blasting Freeze Spray. Even though it sounds pretty drastic, this is a marketing. This is marketing all over this can to hopefully let the person who's buying it know that this is really, really tough stuff. But if you were to zoom in on the actual ingredients back here, we would find out that there's a bunch of polysyllabic chemicals back here. But in eventuality, we get to a word called a copolymer, and then we'd find out that it's actually mixed inside water. So it's water and copolymer. And water and copolymer, in actuality, are this. This is a water and copolymer, which is cooked spaghetti noodles. Obviously, cooked spaghetti noodles are not the Got2b hairspray, but for all intents and purposes, that's what they are. Those the polymers, the copolymers in water that are very, very soft and pliable. When you put that on your hair and mix it in, those copolymers get tangled, just like the spaghetti noodles get tangled. And then after it dries a bit and the water leaves the story, they stay tangled. And of course, that's what holds the hair in place. So in actuality, what we're doing is you're sort of very similar to this. You're sort of putting syrup on your hair. This is maple syrup, and that maple syrup dries out. And then it gets thicker as it dries, and then eventually you just have walk around with dried syrup or dried polymer chemicals on your head. Not a bad thing, actually. Pretty cool. And then when you're finished throughout the day, you wash your hair and off it goes. That's fantastic. But industrial-wise, there may be another reasons why you don't want your thing that's stuck together to get wet. So scientists have and chemists working together have invented things and other systems that hold things together sort of more permanently. One of those things is this hooks and loops or hook and loop system, better known as its trademarked version of Velcro. I'm fairly certain we've all used Velcro before. And what happens, those little spaghetti noodles, if you will, we use a thick but short strip of spaghetti noodles. I don't know if you can see, these things are kind of spiky and standing up. These are the hooks. And then we have some thin, a little bit longer spaghetti noodles, but these are made out of polymers that don't get washed away when you hit them with water. And of course, we've all seen how Velcro works. I couldn't help myself but see Velcro working at the same time. So when we push them together, they stay stuck, and then to pull them apart, you just do just that. You just pull them apart. And of course, that is how Gorilla Glue works on the molecular chemical level. Okay, it's in a spray. They call it an adhesive. It's not a hairspray. Nowhere on this thing does it say, please put it on inside your hair. And if you look at the back, I know this writing is very, very small, but it does not have the ingredients. It's not meant for you to say, well, I'm not sure if I should interact with this. You're supposed to spray it on something you want to glue together. And then right here in the middle, I don't know if you can read it, it says, then after about 10 minutes, the bond becomes permanent. To remove, you may need to use some industrial solvent. So it says right there, yeah, this is a permanent thing, very similar to the Velcro. It's a very, very strong polymer tangled spaghetti, if you will, but you can't wash it out when you're finished. So if you go look at the actual ingredients of Gorilla Glue, it turns out it's a lovely sounding chemical term. It sounds kind of goofy, but it's methylene diphenyl diisocyanate, and it happens to have its own Wikipedia article. So let's take a look at that guy real quick. Here we go, and here's our little actor down here. And when this particular methylene diphenyl diisocyanate, specifically 4,4-diphenylmethane diisocyanate, this guy down here, happens to polymerize, it turns into very long spaghetti noodles that happen to have this formula. And those very long spaghetti noodles tangle, and then they dry, and then you can't get rid of them unless you use a particular solvent. So this happens to be a micrograph of what this thing looks like. The trade name for this is called polyurethane, and you may have heard of polyurethane all over the place. It's a pretty safe chemical. We don't recommend that you eat it. Obviously, we don't recommend that you stick it in your hair, but it's a fairly common chemical, and you probably would find it. You could reach for it. So a common kitchen sponge, or maybe a sponge that you use to wash your car, is made out of foamed polyurethane. And again, if we zoomed in low here, we would see these long molecules that are all connected to each other. However, when they dry, they stay dry. They don't happen to wash back out. So just for fun, we went ahead and got a hold of some Got2b Glued hairspray and some Gorilla Glue, and couldn't help ourselves but go into the lab. So I'm going to see if I can't narrate this thing as far as what's going on here. So we're in the lab here at UMES. I have a bottle of Got2b and a bottle of Gorilla Glue, and rather than using a wig and actually simulating hair, I just happened to grab some cardboard. It seemed to be the easiest thing to do right here. So I'm going to go ahead and spray some Got2b Glued hairspray onto a piece of cardboard. It goes on very, very wet. Again, it reminds me already of the pancake syrup we were looking at. It's very, very thin syrup, if you will. I'm going to go ahead and connect it. It turns out, even though it says freeze spray and glued, it turns out that it doesn't make the world's greatest adhesive. It's a fantastic styling gel in the spray bottle, but not a very good adhesive agent for at least cardboard, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and press the button here and see if we can't get some Gorilla Glue onto a separate piece of cardboard. Here we go. It's going to look kind of similar. It goes on a little thicker, trying not to get it all over the chemistry lab here. And I'm going to go ahead and connect these things together. It has like a white sheen to it as opposed to the very, very thin Got2b glue. I'm going to press these guys together, and we'll come back here in a second and see what we got as a response. So I've last time, look at that secret Hollywood video. We're coming up to a minute, so I'm going to wait for a minute on my super fancy watch, and we're going to see how well these things are working. Now, of course, I didn't let it glue. I didn't let it dry for a long time. I didn't use any hair dryers, and we're going to see if these guys are stuck, and they're not even stuck, not even a little bit. You can see where it's actually soaked into the cardboard, and yeah, it's just wet. Again, it's very, very easy to pull these apart because the little spaghetti noodles, if you are, they're not very aggressive. However, after only a minute, over here on the other side, these guys are pretty well stuck, and you can, if I pull this apart, you can see where these long polymer spaghetti noodles are starting to form. It sort of looks like a cobweb between these two things, and when that dries, these things aren't going anywhere. So yeah, the difficulty is that polyurethane is not water soluble. You can't wash it off, or you can't wash it out of your hair. So it worked great. It worked great as a hair gel, as long as you didn't want to get it back out. You can't just go into the shower and take a shower. So, well, let me push the button here and take a look at the second experiment we did, or the second demonstration. I went ahead and sprayed a second piece of cardboard with some Got2b. This is the Got2b. It's very thick. You can see it almost looks like some maple syrup. I'm going to see if I can wash it off into this chemical sink. It is not a hazard. It's a non-hazardous chemical, so I'm not washing this down into the storm sewer here. Just washing it off, you can actually see a little bit of soap bubbles on the bottom. There's some detergent inside here to sort of treat your hair. And let's take a look at this guy. When we're done over here, you'll notice that just not even scrubbing it or using a thick, lathery shampoo, I've washed it off. You can actually see the difference between the wet cardboard that's not shiny and the shiny cardboard that still has some of that product on it. Now over here I have the Gorilla Glue, and I sprayed it on there pretty thickly. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can wash this Gorilla Glue off. And it turns out that it doesn't wash off, it just gets pushed around. It just turns out that the water, by the force of this stream of water, it's actually pushing this puddle of Gorilla Glue around the cardboard. In fact, if I go ahead and take my gloved hands and move this around a bit, you can see that what it is doing, it is creating those very thick pieces of spaghetti, if you will, and eventually when they dry into a hard plastic, it's not going anywhere. And of course, this is really, really going to act as an adhesive when you want to glue different things together. Hopefully it's not someone's hair. So the thing is, polyurethane is not soluble in water, and thankfully it is soluble in something, otherwise we would never get it off. It is soluble in acetone and other non-water solvents. Acetone is probably the most popular one. For those of you who are not chemists, of course, acetone is also the type of chemical that we use to remove fingernail polish. Not only does it dissolve polyurethane, it also dissolves lacquers and acrylics and other chemicals that we use in cosmetics. So there's a happy story. I went ahead and grabbed this little clip from Inside Edition to show that this actually did come out of Miss Tessica Brown's hair after using some industrial solvent, including acetone.
But nothing worked until Beverly Hills plastic surgeon Michael Obang offered to help. Tessica flew from her home in Louisiana to Los Angeles.
How are you holding up, Tessica?
Where she got a COVID test before undergoing a procedure to dissolve the glue using a concoction of medical-grade adhesive remover, aloe vera, olive oil, and acetone. The process took 4 hours, and you can see the hair coming undone.
Okay, that's it. Tessica, you did great.
Look how easily the comb glides through the hair. Still on the operating room table, Tessica is overcome with emotion.
Fabulous. So we actually have she lost her long ponytail, but her hair is back to normal, and she's doing just fine. So again, thank you for the bravery of Tessica for admitting and putting out that warning that, hey, don't do this. Thankfully, there was a happy ending, and thanks to the cosmetic surgeon who used his chemistry experience to figure out how to help this young woman. Thank you for your attention.